Skyrockets in flight. Woo! Afternoon delight. Whoop! You guys have it?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? We've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and we need all of you to stop what you are doing and listen to this Seismic Cinema review of Anchorman, which is kind of a big deal. So grab your jazz flute and pour yourself a glass of scotch.
I really like how you started off American and then you went back to your own voice there. That was a good switcheroo.
That's just the way it's got to be. So yeah, welcome to the what do they even call their studio again? Can you remember?
KP.
That one.
That one.
Yes, that one. Welcome to there, but also welcome to Seismic Cinema. I'm Colin. I've usually not seen it.
I'm Paul. I've usually watched it in the wrong order, but not this one because Dumpster Fire Anchorman 2 wasn't out back then.
And James, who is probably off writing his essay all about Anchorman because he's not here today.
I know. It's weird. It'll be weird because it's not been me and you in this for a long time.
Let's hope it doesn't bomb and break our 200 streak.
Oh, that's a jinx now.
Anyway, you can follow Seismic Cinema on X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. We have a Facebook page and a community group, so make sure you join us there. And you can watch and listen on YouTube, Spotify, and all those other lovely platforms, which I'm not going to read out. Because unlike Ron Burgundy, I don't read absolutely everything on the teleprompter. We are also part of the Podpack Collective, which features the likes of Chat Tsunami, Howdy Beans podcast, which I still can't get used to saying, Cast and Views, Two Girls, One Reusable Cup, and Game Club Pod. Have there been any other personnel changes, Paul, I need to know about?
Not as far as I know. They're a good bunch, though. They're a good bunch, and I think they're adding a couple of streamers into it as well on the Twitch side, like Robotic Battle Toaster, I think Wisteria Moth, maybe. So that's always something to look out for if you're into your gaming.
You can keep me updated, and I'll add them to the intro. Yeah, so they're just a group of podcasters who like to keep in touch, support each other, and share each other's stuff. So make sure you give them a follow and a listen. Right. So recent episodes, I always like to just remind of our recent ones. So last time was Jumanji, and before that it was The Running Man, which was a first time viewing for me, and then before that it was Jurassic Park. So Paul, just before we get into the Anchorman review and quote off, which I think it'll be more like, I just wondered if you'd been checking out any new shows or films over the past wee while.
Few different things. I'm on the last episode of Dexter Original Sin. I don't know if you've been watching that or not.
No, I still haven't watched the original series. So
have you not? No. This is the prequel, so you can start the prequel and then
I watched a few episodes of Dexter, but I just never quite got hooked by it enough to go with it.
Yeah.
I maybe would have if I'd stuck with it.
Yeah. So I've been watching Dexter. Been watching Invincible season 3. Just came on Prime, so I've been watching that.
I haven't even watched season 2.
Have you not?
I love season 1, as you know.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, it comes out in weird bits and
I find that I'm the same with Cobra Kai. I've not watched there's a new 5 episodes, but I haven't watched the previous 5. And I think sometimes when there's a huge gap between seasons, you kind of lose interest a wee bit.
Yeah, well, I think I can't remember if it's season 2 or if it's this season. It must be season 2. They done half the season and then stopped for ages, and then the second half of the season came out, and I think it's getting a bit. I don't know. It's okay, but I think a lot of people are complaining that the animation isn't as good as it could be because I think they're trying to churn it out year after year, and they're not getting a lot of time on the animation. But I'm still enjoying it. Still got a stellar cast, some big names in there still. So I'm really enjoying Invincible still.
I'll maybe check it out again one day.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Is it? Finished Lioness, I think, did that, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
How
about you?
How have missed those dogs? So I'm watching From, which you said you'd watched. I'm just finishing season 1. I'm on the last episode of that. I started off really into it. And I kind of tailed off a wee bit. I'm still enjoying it, but I'm just kind of struggling to find time to watch shows at the moment. But I plan to stick with from getting to season 2 soon. My kind of usual weekly shows. Myself and Alien watch The Apprentice and Dragon's Den. It's our Friday night routine, so watch that. Off the back of Jumanji, actually, I watched the other 2 Jumanji films, the Welcome to the Jungle and the Next Level, and I actually really enjoyed them. Like I feel like The Rock's in so many films that sometimes I feel it's become a bit oversaturated, and I think that kind of put me off watching this a wee bit, but I've actually changed my mind on both those films and him as an actor a wee bit. I really enjoyed those 2 films. You seen them?
Yeah, because he's quite campy in the first one, isn't he? Because it's like a girl that goes into the Rock's body, isn't it?
No, it's
Is that the second one?
It's the kind of shy guy.
The shy guy.
And the second one, it's the boy's grandpa that goes into his body.
Is it? Oh,
But there's a lot of body swapping, so it's easy to get confused. But I actually really enjoyed them. Obviously watched Anchorman for this. I didn't go anywhere near Anchorman 2, which we'll probably touch on. But yeah, that's about it at the moment. It's kind of sticking with from. Oh, the other thing is I'm doing a wee bit of a Suits rewatch in a sense. I'm kind of near the end of season 1, obviously with Suits LA coming out a week tomorrow. Although I don't know how I'm actually going to watch it, but we'll see.
Yeah. How good the early seasons of Suits are.
Yeah, well,
tremendous.
Yeah. Season 5 is still the peak for me, even though it's heartbreaking. But we won't ruin it for people. Right. Oh, one last thing I wanted to say, sorry, was a wee call to action. So we're on 173 subscribers on YouTube. We lost a subscriber, RIP. But we're really keen to get to 175, and then 200 will be the next target after that. So please help us along our journey by subscribing to the channel. Right. So, Paul, just before we get into the main review, just wondered, or a wee reminder of your history of Anchorman.
What year did they come out again?
2004.
2004.
21 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're still in the grammar school then, eh?
We were in like second year.
Second year. Yeah. So I never went and seen it. I didn't go see it in movies.
I don't remember seeing it in the cinema either.
Yeah. So I think it was probably just one of these ones that kind of like
I remember watching it like maybe like kind of 5th and 6th year kind of time.
Yeah, that's probably a bit myself. When we're also mature.
I don't remember how, like, obviously there was no like Netflix and things like that back then, so it's like I've got the DVD. I'm wondering if I just bought the DVD like Blockbusters or something, and then that's how. Like, I can't really remember the origin, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think I just watched it on DVD. It's just been passed about, or somebody got a box set or something, possibly.
Yeah, so I don't remember seeing it in the cinema. I just remember maybe having the DVD, but I think it quickly spread around our whole friend group because not just yourself, but some of our other friends regularly quote this with as well.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, it's not the best film, but it's just got so many quotable lines in it that just makes it. It's so weird.
Like I to this day still quote a lot of the lines from this film just in everyday situations.
Yeah, and on next when we're doing like on the podcast where I'm always trying to find a good Anchorman gif to reply to people.
We'll get into quotes more later, but is there one just off the top of your head that you feel like you use a lot, or maybe reference a lot?
Probably, boy, that escalated quickly.
That's the one I was thinking of as well. Anchorman 2, you seen it?
I watched about, I don't know, I think there's a point where they're like an RV or something and they crash an RV. And
that's all the bit I remember as well.
Yeah, that's the bit I remember. And I was like, I got to that point, I was like, this is shite.
I always swore I'd never watch it, and I think I actually chucked out the DVD, but part of me kind of wants to watch it again retrospectively and see if it's as bad as I remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that because I remember just watching it and thinking, Anchorman 2. Anchorman was so good. Anchorman 2 must be a step up, or at least try to step up. And it was just like a step down.
when I was doing some like kind of looking at like trivia and stuff, I think Anchorman 2, if I'm right in saying, was actually just made up of like cut footage from Anchorman 1.
Oh, why?
I don't know. Right, so yeah, to a wee bit of background on the film. So as we said, it came out in 2004, and I cannot believe how that was 21 years ago, but we'll
I
just
know.
we'll just
My bones are hurting just thinking about it.
we'll just gloss over that. Came in at an hour and 34 minutes. It's obviously a comedy film. The synopsis is in the 1970s, and Anchorman's stint as San Diego's top-rated newsreader is challenged when an ambitious newswoman becomes his co-anchor, which is a minor spoiler for the film. The tagline for the movie was, I've never actually heard this tagline before, but his news is bigger than your news. Apparently, that was one of the options. It was out of the ones on IMDb, that was the one I liked best. So
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Fun fact: do you know San Diego is German for a whale's vagina?
I don't think that's true.
Agree to disagree.
When in Rome.
Go on.
I can't remember the rest of it. The film was directed by Adam McKay. It was written by Adam McKay and also Will Ferrell. So Will Ferrell was one of the writers. It's got a 7.1 on IMDb, which we can discuss in more detail later. It got 63 with the kind of Metacritic scores, and 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. The budget was $25 million, and it made $91 million at the box office. So it did all right financially, but I think, as we were discussing, maybe a lot of people didn't quite catch it in cinema, maybe particularly people our age.
Yeah, because it's not like one of these big blockbuster movies that you'd expect. It was just like a fun wee comedy movie, but it's quadrupled its money, so it's definitely
it's a cult classic though. But I think with DVD sales plus streams on streaming services, etc., obviously done well over the years.
Aye, that's a fair chunk of change, especially when last one we did, I did on with you was Dread, and that was a financial disaster. So
yeah,
it's funny how it all works.
Yeah, Will Ferrell was king at that point, wasn't he? With this and Step Brothers and other similar films. Elf came out the same year, actually.
Yeah, it's when like old school Blades of Glory, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, good times.
Nice to have the old school Blades of Glory double box set.
That was a thing back then, wasn't it? I had one that was like Don't Mess with the Zohan. I think Forgetting Sarah Marshall was one of the, which is a film I'd love to do the podcast, by the way. Great film. Right.
Yeah.
It won one award and it had 13 nominations. And the cast, so I'm going to talk about the main cast and then we talk about just a few of the cameo appearances. So obviously we had Will Ferrell as Ron Burgundy, Christina Applegate as Veronica, and she was also the lead in a show I really liked. It was called, I forgot what it's called now. It's the one where the person's husband gets killed in a car crash. I forgot what it's called.
Sounds delightful.
It's a good show. It's a comedy, drama comedy. The great Paul Rudd, the versatile Paul Rudd, plays Brian Frantana. Steve Carell as Brick Tamlin, a favourite of yours, Paul.
Yep, I see similarities in him with me.
No, I meant you love The Office. So.
Oh, right, that too. Aye.
David Kushner as Champ Kind. He's like the kind of least known out of like the main crew, I would say.
He's still in stuff. He's in The Office as well.
Yeah, but he's not as big a name as like Will Ferrell, Steve
Carell. Aye. It's not like a kind of lead actor and things.
I've got a theory about Anchorman, Paul. I think it was Agatha all along. Catherine Hahn was in this as well.
She was, yeah. She was
way back in the day.
Christina, what's her name? Veronica in this.
Helen was
Veronica's. Veronica's right, she's like Veronica's like wee devil on her shoulder.
Cheerleader, supporter, yeah. I don't think we ever discussed it, by the way, but Agatha all along is actually worth a watch. I really enjoyed it.
See, I didn't. I've seen this before. We were on air. Like, I've not watched anything Marvel since. I think
It's
Thor:
like a
Love and
direct
Thunder.
follow up to one. If you've seen WandaVision and if you've seen Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, then you can watch it.
Yeah, I did like that though. I did like
enjoyed it.
WandaVision. So, and I like Catherine Hahn. She's quite funny.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but she grew on me as that show went on. And Fred Willard, who I don't think's with us anymore, is Ed Harkin. I picked out 4 cameos in addition to the main cast. Can you think what they would be?
Yeah, and we can do our Star Wars, our usual Star Wars tie-in, because you get Danny Trejo as the barman.
Who's he?
He's the Rancor keeper in Book of Boba Fett.
All right, okay.
Come on, man. Come on.
I
The baby Rancor. The baby Rancor.
I didn't get that one.
Yep, so there you go. Star Wars tie-in.
Well,
I've earned my keep.
Yeah, there's Jack Black, who's got a great scene.
I know, what an asshole.
James may not agree.
See when I seen him, I was like, oh yeah, Jack Black's in this, and I was like, oh no, it's him.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Although you see an outtake when it's actually like a stuffed dog, like a.
Well, obviously it wasn't a real dog. Odin.
Yeah.
I think we all knew that, unless you didn't.
Any more cameos?
Luke Wilson.
Yeah. The arms. Wow.
Tim Robbins.
Who's Tim Robbins again?
Shawshank Redemption. Have you seen that? Have you?
I have seen Shawshank Redemption. Yeah.
Aye. So what's his name? Alan Dufresne. No, the main guy, the guy that escapes. He's the public news guy that pushes Veronica into the bear pit.
All right. Okay. Cool. There's Seth Rogen. It's a cameraman.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've got one more. No. That's the main one. Oh yeah, your screen name. It's maybe more than a cameo, but he's only in a couple of scenes.
Yeah. Dorothy Mantle is a saint. Is it Dorothy or Doris or something?
I think it's Dorothy. Yeah. That's another film I'd love to do one day. Is The Internship, which is
you talk about that all the time.
Yeah, I love that film. It's a great film.
That is good.
Right. So that was the cast list. So just got a wee bit of trivia before we get into the main dissection. You said you didn't have any, which is totally cool. I've only got a couple. I've only got a couple here. Will Ferrell. This is a good one. Actually has a journalism degree, and he actually anchored his local news station on a couple of occasions. So,
I think this is where he got his inspiration, and he was actually like this in real life.
Possibly. He's also played flute since elementary school. Maybe not.
Oh, was he actually playing in the club? Was he actually playing it?
I've got a weird thing about the club is it never looks like he's actually playing it. It's never like on his mouth. It's always like above his mouth or below his mouth.
Oh, is it not because it's like a wee reed or something that comes out? I don't know.
If anyone knows anything about how jazz flutes work, then you can let us know.
I thought as a Rangers fan, you know how flutes work all the time.
Adam McKay, the director. Sorry. Oh no. Cut that. Adam McKay, the director. His wife and daughter have a cameo. They play the. Do you know what it is?
Not a clue.
It's the mother and daughter. You know when the wee girl goes, "You're a disappointment to us all, Mr. Burgundy."
Oh yeah, I was wondering if she grew up to be like an actress or something, because she's quite good.
That's his daughter, and his wife was the mother with her. And also there was, I think, two Wilhelm screams in the film.
Two. What is one with Champs in the bear pit? Is that when he's getting ragdolled about? Is that one? No.
I'm not sure. I was thinking more there was one during the fight. The gang fight.
Oh, okay.
And
I missed that one.
Apparently there was one in the infamous Six Panther scene.
Oh, right. I missed that.
When people are running about going mental.
Oh,
the last bit of trivia was actually the kind of first draft of Anchorman, which sounded pretty mental. So Ron Burgundy crashed a plane onto like a deserted island or something, and then a team of news anchors were like stranded there, and they get into a fight with a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
So that was the original premise for Anchorman.
I don't think that would have done well.
I think what they came out with instead was a lot better.
That sounds like an episode of The Simpsons when he gets stuck on an island and there's like loads of monkeys and all that.
Yeah, so it wasn't great. Right, so just to jump into the film, so the film obviously starts with the kind of voiceover. I can't remember who does the voiceover, but it introduces kind of San Diego, which is apparently the only scenes that are actually filmed in San Diego. Is like the kind of scenes from the sky at the start.
Why do you keep saying San Diego?
San Diego.
You're saying it because he says it.
No, I didn't realize I was doing it.
Is it not San Diego?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I thought you I wasn't sure if you were being like real or if it's just like you were being like Ron Burgundy, like San Diego.
Yeah, I could just pretend I was doing that anyway. The scenes, the aerial shots are partly the only actual shots. I think the rest of it's filmed in LA, and they kind of do the voiceover, which introduces Ron Burgundy, and obviously kind of bigs him up as like the best Anchorman of all time. What do you remember of the? Is there any particular lines in that introduction that you remember well?
The intro. I can't even remember the intro, to be honest. I just remember the bit where it says like it's like a true story, but everything's like basically everything's changed. Like the kind of subtitle thing. It's like it's based on a true story.
Well, the bits that come to mind for me is, yeah. No, I mean the bit, you know, when there's a voiceover and he's got a voice that can make a Wolverine purr, and it's like suits so good he makes Sinatra look like a hobo.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I do remember that wee bit. Yeah, aye.
So
see, I was struggling to start the movie when I watched it this morning because my dog was having a wee bit of a funny episode and I was kind of half watching it, so it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so I kind of missed the intro a wee bit, but that does sound vaguely familiar. I remember the Wolverine purr.
What do you make of the intro then? It's a good introduction to the movie and Ron Burgundy.
Aye, it definitely sets it up for what you're expecting. You know, it's not going to be a serious movie whatsoever, so it just sets up the tone completely.
Yeah. So it's set in the 1970s, which is important for a lot of the events and the attitudes for the film, we might say.
I wasn't sure if we're going to touch on that.
No, I think it's important. I think it's important that we do that. And then we also get introduced to the rest of the team, which features Brian Fontana in the field, Champ Kine, sports, and Brick Tamlin, weather. So you very quickly see a lot of their kind of famous catchphrases. Out with, if we just put Ron Burgundy to the side for the moment, have you got a favourite out of the other three of the gang?
I actually I kind of like Paul Rudd, probably a bit more.
Right.
Yeah. I know Steve Carell's okay. He's not in it that much. I thought he was in it a bit more than I remembered, but he only gets a few lines here and there. There's not like a lot in it. And I don't know. I don't really like Champ as a person.
Yeah. I never really warmed to him either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like
he's a bit
just
of a
got that. He's just got that. It's a whammy.
Yeah. I don't even know who he's talking about in the baseball thing. Like,
yeah, I would agree.
To the plate, whammy. Like,
I would agree if we're ranking them, then he'd definitely be at the bottom.
Yeah, and then Paul Rudd is just the eternal Paul Rudd. He's just cool as that, isn't he?
Yeah, I do like Brian Fontana, I must admit. Is there any particular lines from those guys that stand out to you?
So Paul Rudd. Obviously, the Six Panther scene.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, Champ.
I can't really remember any from him, to be honest.
Maybe when he talks about Veronica's butt and he's talking about putting barbecue sauce on it and going blah, and then she just walks in. And Brick. When he's talking about when we were shouting, whenever we were shouting in the thingy about Veronica joining the youth team, he's just like, I don't know what we're yelling about or yelling at.
He's got a lot of
loud noises.
He's got a lot of good lines. The one about eating the big red candle was always a favourite.
Oh yeah, after the party.
I think I Love Lamp became like the most kind of pop cultural favourite one. Like you see it on like mugs and t-shirts and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They say something after they killed the guy in the horse as well. And it, like, with his trident.
I think he's like, I stabbed a guy with a trident. Saying, Brick killed a guy. That scene's great because Ron just turns really serious for a moment. He's like, yeah, but we didn't talk to you about that. You should probably lay low for a while, get out of the country because you're probably wanted for murder. It's just one of those like, where like the film takes itself seriously for a change.
I know. I don't know if we're going to talk about it later. Like, see the whole fight when they're like saying about it's like one rule: don't touch the hair or the face, and then they all just start punching each other in the face.
Yeah, they didn't stick to the one rule. So you get that introduction to them in the newsroom, and there's just a lot of nonsense, isn't there? They're throwing footballs about, they're making fun of each other. They're not particularly that good at their jobs either, are they? Well, particularly Brick. Like, see when you actually watch him doing his weather announcements, he's just kind of like pointing at random things, and they're not really matching up to what he's actually saying.
Yeah, it's not quite like part of America, like the Middle East.
Because there was a bit later in the film where the boss, Ed, he's saying, unless Brick's tracking a warm front, he's totally useless. And I was like, he's not even good at that part of the job. Never mind.
A storm front.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Oh, here, by the way, just on a wee side tangent. Can we talk about the station manager's son, Chris?
What, the guy that cries?
The guy that cries?
Is that the guy who starts crying when Ron lets him down?
No. No, that's his like his.
When he keeps getting the phone calls about.
Yeah. I want to know what happened to Chris because he seemed like he was just having a full-on meltdown.
There was it was a kind of recurring gag, wasn't it? It came up 2 or 3 times.
They had like German porn in must have been like a Catholic school or something like that, and then he fired a crossbow into a crowd, and
he's like Sister Margaret.
Yeah, Sister Margaret, and he fired a crossbow or an arrow into a crowd or something, and he had like a gun or something as well. It's just like every time he just like, come on, Chris, come on, it's just a face.
I was thinking of his assistant guy who starts like crying hysterically when Ron insults San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. The Fallout series on TV.
No, I've heard good things though.
Yeah, it's good. He's in it. The wee sidekick guy's one of the vaults. If you ever see it, he does voices for Rick and Morty in that as well. He's quite a good voice actor.
I see. I don't really know much about him. So then we transition to Ron's apartment, and they're having the party. There's people everywhere. People jumping in swimming pools. You've got Brian Fontana boasting about his twins. Is that the right word? That's the wrong word.
No. Like his balls and his dick.
Can you remember what the names were?
Something was like Dr. Noisemaker or
Dr.
something.
Kenneth Noisewater.
Noisewater, that's it. Noisewater. I can't remember the rest.
James Westfall.
Yes, that's one.
Yeah. So you've got all these bits. You've got obviously they're all always breaking the fourth wall. You've got Brick sitting talking about his IQ and things like that as well, and then you've got Will Ferrell doing the cannonball line, which I alluded to in the introduction, and then he finally meets. You can tell, can't you, that Ron, although he says like we've been coming to the same party for however many years it was, and in no way is that depressing. On the one hand, he's making it seem like a good thing, but you can actually see in his like nervous laugh that he is maybe a bit lonely, and he's kind of wanting to move on to that next stage of his life.
Yeah, he's like,
because he's talking to a girl, and then he sees Veronica walk in, and I think he's kind of finally met his match. Like, he's met somebody who's not like wowed by him and hasn't heard of him, and we don't know at this point that she's going to be like a rival news anchor, but you obviously know that she's going to be important.
Yeah, it's quite funny too, because like he thinks he's all that, but like obviously in real life he's not all that at all. Yeah, by the way, see his bottom teeth. Are they real?
I don't know.
You know, like when he's doing, like he's talking about the cannibal scene, it's just that big close up of his face. His bottom teeth are all over the place, man.
It's a great scene though, that, isn't it? Because you think you do think it's a really important announcement, don't you? And then he, cannonball. And then the music kicks in after that.
Yeah.
So he's obviously trying to wow her, but he doesn't maybe go about it in the right way. The thing is, see when he says like, "I want to be on you," he then like screams at her. She's like, he just kind of fully commits to it.
Yeah, he's like, "I want to be on you," and then it's like as if he disgusted himself. He's like, "Oh, why'd I say that?" He's like, "I want to be on you,"
and then he says it again. And that was obviously, James will like this bit, the kind of foreshadowing that that she was going to essentially join the news team. I like that scene though the next day, and it's a line I used to always use back in the day with the likes of young Alistair Callender. You'd wake up and go, "I am hungover." the Brian Fantana line. I always like that other line as well when he was like, "I woke up." Oh, that's my favorite Champ Kind line. "I woke up in some Chinese family's rec room and they would not stop screaming."
They were Japanese, actually.
What was it? Sorry. I like that line though. That's a good one. And then Ed comes in and obviously starts talking about a lack of diversity in the newsroom, because obviously this is the 1970s, and there is some female staff, but no one who's actually on like the kind of news team. And then there's a great line about Ron Burgundy's perception of what diversity means.
Ah, yes, the old American Civil War ship.
And then Ed's like, "I doubt that they're concerned about the absence of a big wooden ship." And then Ron's expression when Veronica walks into the room. So Ed announces that Veronica's going to join the news team, and there's a real uproar from the news team. How did you feel watching this nowadays? I must admit there was some bits where it was a wee bit harder to watch. Now we're that wee bit older, a bit more wiser.
A bit why?
It's still a funny film, but there are some bits, particularly the stuff that comes after this around Veronica. There are some bits where you're like, it becomes a wee bit uneasy.
Yeah, you know, what it's like times change, attitudes change. Like also when we watched it when we were younger, it was like we schoolboys like, "Oh, that's funny." Oh.
Yeah.
And then nowadays
it's still a funny film, but there are a lot of funny scenes that aren't about the objectification, I suppose.
Oh, somebody's a school teacher.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Watching the scene. Oh, that scene didn't actually bother me too much when they're in an uproar about it, because like it's set in the 70s or whatever it is, and that was the attitude back in the day. So it's I think it's a very accurate historical reenactment of the attitudes of the time.
I don't think the film wasn't trying to defend that kind of behavior, though.
I
think it was just showing maybe what things were like.
Nah. Plus, they all needed to be on the same page when it came, like, because they're all trying to get Veronica out.
Yeah,
because Ron's the man, and they don't think she should be there, so they're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's all showing it, and it's just showing what they're like. They've got Ron's back, kind of thing. So it appears. They've got Ron's back, and Veronica's the outsider, and it's an uphill battle for her. So it just kind of shows that from the get-go that nobody's on board with this happening at all.
Yeah. But she's supremely confident, isn't she? And like sure of herself, and she responds really well, I think, to the advances.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a bit where like Ron gives her a nickname on air, and she's like, they're on vacation, and she kind of just like nips it in the bud. Like, she's quite good at keeping her dignity in this
Oh,
situation.
I thought you were talking about like when like Champ tries to like grab her, and she just punches him in the dick.
Yeah, like she protects herself physically, but
Aye.
she also kind of backs herself up verbally as
And
well.
yeah. Oh no,
So,
you can take like,
aye.
first time you meet her when she's at that party, you know, she can handle herself. She's
Yeah.
no slouch.
She's
And to try and make your way in a kind of male dominated sector such as that, then you need to back yourself, and she does.
because she has her own wee intro, doesn't she? Similar to Ron's.
Aye, was it the thanks for stopping by or something?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, she has like a wee montage where she's arriving in the like at work.
Oh,
And
right.
she's doing the voiceover.
Right, yeah, that's right. Aye.
Yeah, so she has that as
Because
well.
that's an outro in the news channel that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's not an intro whatsoever. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're not up to date with your news vocab. So, as you said, there's a sequence of Champ inappropriately touching Veronica. Brian Fantana's got quite a memorable bit where he's introducing his aftershave that he's got, which apparently you can actually buy.
I thought you'd have some.
No. 60% of the time it works every time. That's another line I like to use quite often as well.
Yeah, and it's another bit where Ron Burgundy is actually making sense. Where he's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, use that line quite a lot. Brick Tamlin's got quite a funny bit as well. He wants to extend an invite to the pants party.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But it's funny when he's rebuked. They say, "Oh, did was it Ron put you up to this or something like that?" Was it Champ? And then he just turns around to one of the male members of the team, and he just says the exact same thing. So Brick is so harmless. Like, the things he does that are like inappropriate, he doesn't actually realize he's doing them. I don't think, and he's just been kind of told to do them.
He's so harmless until he gets a trident in his hand.
Yeah, Brick killed the guy. So obviously they don't have much luck, but I think it always shows that Veronica did always have a wee thing for Ron, because she kind of viewed him. She was quite disappointed in his attempt when he invited her or gave her 2 tickets to the gun show.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh, Helen asked me to come see you straight away. He's like, I wasn't expecting company.
He's like, what is it? He's like, I could barely hear because I could do so many or something like that.
Yeah. Because like when she's walking, it's like 1,001, 1,002.
He's pure hairy chest.
Aye. And his wee skimpy arms.
So she's quite disappointed, and then they kind of have it out a wee bit, and it's he eventually does ask her out on a date, and she does accept, because I think he kind of proposes.
It's not a date. It's not a date.
It's just someone taking someone around in a new city.
Yes,
something like that. Paraphrase.
It's not a date.
But she kind of phrases it that way, like it's just like showing her about town and helping her get to know things. But I think we obviously know that she is into Rob, and she actually does want to pursue a relationship with him.
I don't know. At that point, I didn't think so.
I felt she did, because
I thought just to get a bead on the town kind of thing. I didn't think it
was because she obviously meets him at the party, and then she says that bit about being disappointed in him and expecting better of him. So I feel like if she expects better of him, it's because she kind of cares about what he says or does. So I felt like she was interested in him at that point. Which
maybe I didn't pick up on that, but
which obviously goes to show, because when they go out for their nice seafood dinner, no, that was just a link to a line later in the film. They go out for dinner, and then He's he obviously knows the staff. They know he can play the jazz flute, but I just love the bit when it's like I'm not even prepared, and he just pulls it out his sleeve,
Yeah.
and then it gets a bit mental, doesn't it? He's setting like things on fire and stuff as well.
Like smashing everybody's tables and stuff.
And then you've got that. Obviously, they then go back to Ron's apartment, but you've got that that kind of fantasy sequence, which is quite memorable.
Oh yeah, is it Pleasure Town?
Yeah,
it is so weird. Like such a that's probably where most of the budget went to. Is that animated sequence?
I just feel like it's the kind of movie. Like, see if you just walked in on that scene, you'd be like, "What is going on here?"
Aye.
But it was a creative way to include that in the film, but still keeping it quite maybe not PG, but keeping the rating down. You know.
Yeah. Aye, 100%. I totally forgot about that scene as well.
However, Ron, I think he's just excited. I think he is really into Veronica, but when he gets to work the next day, he just Veronica and I are in love, and I don't care who knows it, or something like that.
Oh, is it? No, because she's like, "Oh, you need to keep it quiet because I don't want it to like undermine my chances and stuff." And is that when she's like saying like, "Oh, I want to be an anchor as well"?
Yeah.
Like
and he laughs and he goes, "Veronica said a very funny joke today." I laughed about it later that night.
But he goes into the office and he's like, "Veronica and I had sex, and I love her," or something like that. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, do you think they hit the people in the office?" It's like, "Yeah, you kind of yelled it."
And is this the scene where they start like scrapping and he like throws her on the table? I think it may be.
Just after that, I think it throws the copy at him.
Yeah. Because I think it's round about this time, or I think it was maybe before the date, the quote unquote date, was where Brian Fontana wears the cologne, and then like chaos just erupts inside the news station, and he eventually gets hosed down. Yeah. And they were saying it as bad as like the skunk or something like that.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the adjectives describing his?
It was like it's like a turd covered in burnt hair or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. When it was like,
as a line James will like
a diaper filled with like
Indian food.
Indian food. Yeah.
I could relate to that one on two accounts: Indian food and diapers.
Oh, lovely. Eat them often?
No, I don't eat them though.
So was there something else? Was there something like it smells like? Oh yeah, when the James like that's right. Smells like Bigfoot's dick.
Yeah, James would like that bit.
James like Bigfoot dick.
No, James loves Bigfoot. So
still yet to be found.
Yeah, and then I can't remember if this is that right bit, but Ron's traveling back, having his burrito, and then he gets into a bit of a confrontation with Jack Black, who Ron starts off the conversation quite friendly, doesn't he? And then it escalates from there.
Well, he's not really concerned for him. He's just like, "Oh, that was a big spill."
He's like, "That back's the only thing I love. What do you love?" He's like, "I love scotch. I love was it poetry or something like that?"
Yeah. Was it jazz? Did they say jazz flute in that as well?
Yeah, maybe. And he's like, "My friend Baxter here." Oh, just a quick bit to Baxter. Some of the Baxter scenes are some of the best scenes. Like, see the bit where he's like, "You pooped in the refrigerator and you ate the whole wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. That's amazing."
Oh yeah, and he's like, I was like, remember, I was like, "I don't speak Spanish."
In English, please. So yeah, Baxter gets launched into the water, and then Ron has a complete breakdown in the phone booth.
Yeah, can you do a good impression of
that? I'm in a glass case of emotion. That good. I can't be that loud. So
that'll be me too. The dogs. I was going to do
it's a bit where he's like stroking the phone down his face and just like he's absolutely.
Yeah, Yeah. He's
distraught.
Brian, and Brian actually gets a lot of stuff he's shouting at the start, and then he kind of goes,
yeah.
"No, don't worry, man. I don't know what you're doing."
But he's actually the way I remember what he says. That he goes, "The man punished Baxter, and he kicked him. He kicked him with his foot, and I hit him with a burrito."
The motorcycle on the bridge.
And then it's a really important scene, obviously, because it's what means that Ron misses the news broadcasts, and Ed Harkins kind of going around. That's the bit when he talks about Champ only being good at sports, Brick tracking the, what was it? Stormfronts. And eventually Veronica puts herself forward. Ed's not too sure, but they eventually go for it. But the rest of the team are just being so like unsupportive, just like staring her out, throwing things at her, just totally like undermining her every opportunity.
Does one of them not take their pants off and just like sit in their underwear and just
it's Brian, yeah.
Just like thrusting at her.
And then but then she does a good job. And she comes up with her own kind of sign-off phrase, which you mentioned earlier. And then Ron, sorry.
I was gonna say like the whole bit of Ron getting there is quite funny because like he's just like he's like pure sprinting, like he's like in cop movies when they're like running through a crowd and they're knocking people away.
Yeah.
He just like goes out his way to just like knock some guy on his ass.
He stole
a
guy's cigarette as well, didn't he?
That's the lie.
He's running back. And then he eventually gets back, he's out of breath. He's like, "Oh, I can do the news now." And he just doesn't want to believe that Veronica did it. And I can't remember if it's
that's when he talks about the diary. He's like, "You knew I wanted to be an anchor," and she's like, "It's like I thought that was a joke. I even wrote in my diary. Veronica made a funny joke."
Is it this scene where she gets made co-anchor, or is it later on? I can't remember.
I think it is this scene co-anchor. Yeah, because they said, network said there was 2 points boost or something. We're going to make it a new co-anchor.
And then this leads to a good scene because they talk about, and it links into some of our favorite shows, Suits and How I Met Your Mother. It's like, what's the one thing you can do to cheer yourself up? It's buy a suit, which is what we used to do on a regular basis when we were in our late 20s.
Buy a new suit. I can't afford enough fabric for my suits.
I've had the same kind of 5-6 suits for years now since that kind of spell when I bought loads.
Yeah, skinny bastard.
So they go to buy the suits, and then they're kind of walking back through the city, and this is the kind of first interaction we have with another news team. So this is Wes Mantus' squad. There's some quite good interactions in this bit here.
Mm-hmm. His mother's a saint.
It's like, no, that's another good Champ line, actually. He's like, "I'm going to take your mother, Dorothy Mantouf, out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again."
Oh yeah, it's so funny because like Brick gets him lost into it. That's why they're in the bad part of town or something like that.
Right.
And he comes out part of the evening news, number 2 in the ratings.
And he's like, something I didn't realize the Salvation Army were having a sale, and then Brick comes out with his iconic line of, "Where did you get those suits at the toilet store?" It's just
that's a different bit, Colin.
No, is that not the same bit?
I don't think so.
I think that's the same scene.
Is there not one where it's like where like they're like getting ice cream or something like that? Like, and they talk about the suits in the Salvation Army, and then when it goes to the fight, it's talking about.
No, I thought they talked about Dorothy Mantouf and the toilet store in the same scene. I think that's the only scene he's in before the fight. Where's Mantouf?
Are we talking about the fight scene? No, is this the?
No, we're talking about the scene after they bought suits.
All right, I think I'm getting very confused now where I'm at.
the fight comes later on.
Yeah, okay.
So
I thought that's where they were on their way to, just to get suits when they had the fight.
No, it's later on.
Okay.
Because it's definitely later on. Because then you've got or maybe I've mixed it up. No, I don't think the fight. I don't think the fight and the toilet store bit come at the same time. I think they're separate occasions.
Yeah. I thought the toilet store bit was when they're like, I can't remember if they're at an ice cream truck or something, like, and he's
Yeah,
because
that's the
he's
scene
like,
I'm talking
well,
about.
you can't say it. You can't say anything. Like Wes Mantis talking
No,
to his team, they don't say a word.
yeah, no, that's the scene I'm talking about. That's where they
Yeah.
talk about Dorothy Mantooth and the toilet
Oh, is it?
store.
Ah, my bad. That's me then. I'm
And
just senile, even though I watched it this morning.
there's a good line in there though. It's even the guy who can't think says something, and you guys say nothing. That kind of thing. It says a lot for the movie, the pull it had, that Vince Vaughn, someone of his like IMDb catalog, was in a really minor role.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of people in like there because like
Aye.
Ben Stiller in that as well.
They're all pals, aren't they? Probably from
Aye,
that
aye.
kind of scene. They're all in each other's movies.
I wonder how much they get paid for just a wee diddly bits.
I know. I do like Wes Mantis, but he's probably like the most memorable of like the wee crew of other anchors, and he plays quite an important bit at the end of the film as well.
I don't know. I think all the anchors have good to be the main people have good bits.
What's that, sorry? Oh
Like
yeah,
all the
but
main anchors have good bits.
I think he gets the meatiest part though.
Ah, yeah, he gets more lines and like more interaction with Ron, like one to
Yeah,
one.
definitely. Right, so once Veronica's been appointed, promoted to co-anchor, this is where the kind of pranks between them start to arrive, where he's just kind of trying to undermine her. So the first attempt was the one when Ron and Champ are in the office, and they're basically phoning her up to say that she's got like another like a bigger job elsewhere, and like she could just see them through the window. That was like the kind of first attempt.
And then what is it? They try and say that she's pregnant or something as well, and she has to move.
Yeah, it was pretended to be the doctor or something.
Oh yeah,
So this is
doctor.
obviously this is Ron feeling a wee bit betrayed, I suppose, by Veronica, but he's also struggling to just get his head around the fact that he's not the top dog anymore, and he's got to share the limelight with Veronica as well.
We'd all be the same if that happened. I'd imagine, you know.
Yeah, well, he's feeling threatened, and then she doesn't kind of want to let this stand, so she gets a bit of a tip off from Helen, Catherine Hahn's character, who and we actually see this earlier in the film where
It's foreshadowed.
he's foreshadowed because I think Ron says like I'm Ron Burgundy, like my screen name. He's a bit unsure about his identity, and it's like basically anything that's put on the teleprompter, Ron Burgundy will read. So you get to the end of that kind of news bulletin, and he says the iconic phrase.
Yeah, just because somebody's put a question mark at the end of it.
Oh, there's that, but then he also says he obviously gravely insults his city as well.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
The reactions to it are funny, like just the extreme. Like I don't think in reality, if a news anchor said that, there would be as big a meltdown as there is.
Nah.
Because I think you get like the kind of recurring characters, don't you? There's like the guy, the two guys in the bar.
The
that you see
biker
at the
guys.
start of the film that absolutely love him. You get the kid watching it on TV, the baby who's like first words like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that as well.
So you get that at the start of the film, and then it shows it's quite a tragic tale of Ron Burgundy, really, isn't it? He starts at the very top, and he just kind of keeps sinking down, and Ed fires him. He gets kind of like taken off the premises really quickly, and there's a lot of kind of chaos going on.
I know. Poor Veronica Corningstone has just got a heart of stone when she does that. Knowing he's going to get fired.
I think she regretted it though, because she like phones him up
after she got the job.
Yeah, she does. I think she does care about him though. I think he was obviously trying to humiliate her, so I don't think she maybe realised how bad it would be. Maybe.
Plus, see the person writing the teleprompter. Surely they'd get in trouble.
Probably paid off. Well, there's other scenes like we mentioned earlier. Adam McKay's wife and kid, and she's like, "You're a disappointment to us all, Mr. Burgundy."
I know. It goes downhill quick.
And the assistant guy we're talking about, he starts crying. He's like, "How can you say that, Ron?"
Chris Parnell, yeah.
But the news team themselves, they're quite sad about Ron leaving, but they show wee clips, don't they, of them starting to kind of warm to Veronica a wee bit. Like they stop looking. Remember that bit where they're every time she looks at the camera, they look away.
Oh yeah.
But then it changes and they start looking in the same direction, which shows that there's a bit of unity there. So Ron obviously goes on a downward spiral and kind of loses everything. Actually, I think I've probably got this a wee bit out of order. I think the fight must come before Ron gets fired.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly where, but anyway, we'll jump to the fight.
Because I thought the fight was they were going to get Suits and Brick took them in a wrong direction. Like that's when I got confused.
Is that all one scene then?
No, it's not one scene. It's not one scene. Like they meet Vince Vaughn and say about the toilet store. I think that's before. And then they go away do something, and then they're like, "Oh, go get new suits." And then Brick goes to take them and takes them on a shortcut, and they get lost, and that's when they have the big fight.
Anyway, there's a fight.
Yeah,
a really good gang fight. So you've got the news squad that we've followed throughout the film. You've got Vince Vaughn's squad. You've got what's his name? Luke Wilson's squad, and you've also got Ben Stiller's Spanish squad,
and Tim Robbins from Public.
Yes, and it's chaos. It's another one of those scenes. Like, see if you just walked in on that scene, it's really quite out of place in the context of the film when you think about it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Because like Ron Burgundy's just got like a chair leg like in his suit in his jacket pocket.
I thought it was like a big the big salt and pepper shaker things that people have in restaurants. I thought it was something like that.
I thought it was a chair leg. I could be wrong.
And where did you get a head? Where did you get a hand grenade?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just chaos. Also, Luke Wilson loses an arm.
Yes.
Brick kills a guy.
Yeah. There
was a man on fire.
Yeah.
I like the scene when they're talking about it. We talked about it earlier. They're saying Brick should kind of lie low. It's like, I killed a guy with a trident.
There's two guys on horses that catch Brian and Annette. It's a gladiator.
It's just wacky. It's just like it's a showreel basically of just all these classic comedy actors from the 2000s, 2010s, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny seeing Ben Stiller try to be like Mexican or like Latino.
Como esta? It just shows there's a real rivalry between the different news stations, but as we find out later, there's also a wee bit of respect between them as well.
I think that's what it's like in real life, like STV and like Channel 4, Channel 5 and that like have fights, and then it just got too much when Sky got involved and all the Sky channels like Dave and all that started like getting on the territory.
I don't think there's any gang wars, to be honest.
Yeah. It'd be fun if it was.
Well, we talked about the fight. It was a wee bit out of order, but who cares? So Ron's obviously kind of going downhill. He's grown a beard. His hair's not as nice.
Oh, the milky beard.
He's hanging about the pub, and there is that great line where he's like, "I am absolutely miserable, San Diego. Milk was a bad choice." I use that line a lot. See if it's like if I'm in like abroad or if it's just really hot in Scotland. Yeah. Occasionally, it's like
is that not what he says? It's
milk
like,
was a bad choice.
It's so hot.
It's so damn hot. Milk was a bad choice.
Yeah, because he sees the news team, doesn't he, out and about, and they've been told not to talk to him or they'll get fired.
Yeah, and Brick doesn't just quite know what's going on. He's just waving like, and Will's like, "Come here, Brick. I know you want. Come give me a hug."
Give me a hug.
And he's like, he wants to come over, but he can't. But
and then Brian like calls it back like a dog, like slaps his leg and like whistles at him, like clicks his fingers.
I think Chap was looking quite sad as well. So it seems like Brian's like the least supporter of Will.
Oh, maybe he just likes his job.
In that scene anyway. So yeah, he's on a big downward spiral. And then something we forgot to mention is there's a bit of a recurring. There's loads of wacky news stories, isn't there? There's the Nutty the squirrel that can water ski. There's I forget what some of the other ones are, but the big one throughout is the wing. Was it wing? Was it what's the name of the panda?
Oh, don't even ask me. It's like
Like Wong.
Ling Po. I can't remember.
Well, anyway, there's a panda about to give birth, and it got me thinking. This is obviously a big deal because pandas are a species that could potentially go extinct relatively easily. So I'm assuming that the reason why this is a big deal is it's quite a rare thing, or it's a kind of protected species.
Yeah. Well, it's always on like STD news and stuff. Like when with the pandas in Brazil and that, anytime anything was happening with them, it was like on the news. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
quite a big thing.
Brian had quite a good line here when he was like, I don't want to speculate on the sex of the panda, also the one that's going to give birth. And he's like, but if I had to guess, I would say female.
Is that when he's standing out there going like a bear and it can rip you to shreds and stuff? And it wasn't even like, out the cave or something. He's like, "You're making me look like a dick," or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he's like shouting at the cave because the panda's not there. When he's doing the news report.
So Veronica's obviously asked to cover this big story, but she gets pushed by you guy you were talking about.
And Robbins.
Yeah. He's like being quite nice to her on the surface, but then he kind of like pushes her, which is like basically attempted murder, like pushes her into the bear pit.
Pretty much, eh?
Those were they real bears? They looked really real. Do you know what I think?
They were real bears.
They're real bears.
Yeah.
I don't think they were probably in the same scene as them though, in reality.
You never know.
The thing is, they don't seem that bothered. Like Ed Harkin's just like, Veronica's disappeared in the midst of the biggest story of the year. It doesn't actually seem that he cares that much that where she's gone, but just that she's not there.
When it's the biggest news story of the year, all you care about is the news story.
Do you know what I don't get? So was she there by herself? Because the rest of the news team then are in that pub with Ron.
Well, they just needed an anchor to cover it. They didn't need the whole news team because like,
that kind of confused me a bit when I watched it because I was like, why were they not with her? But yeah,
it'd just be like one person. Obviously, she was there with Seth Rogen and what's his name again? The station chief guy,
Ed Harkin.
Ed. So she was there with Seth Rogen and Ed, and then she's like, "Right, Seth, you go that way. I'll go this way, and we'll try and find a good angle." And nobody knew where she went after that. And she was trying to be quiet because she couldn't shout out, and she didn't want to wake up the bears.
Yeah. See when Ed phoned Ron, and he's like, Ned? I don't know, Ned. That's a good scene though when he gets phoned up, and I don't think Ed seems that keen for Ron to come back. He's quite
doesn't at all. No,
I think he's kind of what's short of him.
Is desperate. It's desperation.
And then he gets out. Is it like a big like shell or something? He does. Use Team Assemble. It's a bit of a riff on the Avengers, a wee bit, isn't it?
Maybe the Avengers is a bit of a riff on that.
I
would be with it now because the Avengers came out after, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
So Ron Burgundy did it first, unless it was in a comic, which it probably was.
But it's quite funny because they just turn around and are like, "Oh, yeah, we've been here the same amount of time as you have."
But also, a character reappears.
Somehow, Baxter returns.
Somehow Baxter returns after like months away. He just crawls out of a river and he's just like, "I'm coming, Ron Burgundy."
You kind of forget about him because I must admit, I kind of forgot how they escaped the bears. Like I totally forgot about the bit when Baxter saves the day. If I'm honest,
I remember that. To be fair, it's just
I remember it once I watched it, but I was actually sitting there thinking, like Charlie Nicholas. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, how did they actually get out of this? That's a good reference.
I was sitting there thinking.
So yeah, he gets back. He somehow magically makes himself more presentable again. He goes to get a suit, I think. And he goes to capture the footage. But I think when he arrives, I think is he getting like held over the cave by Luke Wilson? Is this when Luke loses his other arm?
No, that's Luke Wilson loses his other arm when they all jump down and have a fight, and he's like
Right.
reporting on it, saying like, "Oh, it's not going well for
No,
the
he
news
jumps
team."
in. He jumps in, doesn't he?
Who run?
He jumps in to save Veronica.
Yeah. And he's like,
he has like his hero's moment.
yeah, because he's like, "Oh, these bears are big. Like they look a lot smaller from up there."
Yeah. He does. He has quite a good. I know it's not a serious film, and it's not one we'll dissect the way we've dissected others, but he does have quite a good arc in a sense, doesn't he? Like in some ways, like he shows a bit of bravery. He kind of comes back from kind of rock bottom, so he does show a bit of a resilience, at least.
I mean, he shows bravery or stupidity, one of the two, by jumping in the bear pit. But then after that, he makes things just all worse because he keeps shouting and waking up the bears.
Yeah. And then the news team eventually kind of come to the aid, but
They do.
they're getting beat. They're getting beat by the bears, really.
Aye. Brian gets punched in the face a few times. Champ gets ragdolled about. And Brick's just riding one for some reason.
Oh, that's one of my favorite lines. Hey, Ron, I'm riding a furry tractor.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's a great. I wrote down some of my favorite lines. I'll tell you some of the other ones that maybe we haven't mentioned just while we're here. Actually, we've covered them all apart from. Yeah, we've covered them all.
Have we?
Just naturally, we covered all my favorite quotes just throughout the episode. So.
Nice. Oh, I mean, I asked something before we went any further. Like, I mean, that's ages ago. Do you give names to your junk?
No.
Okay, I wanted to clarify that. It's just something I'm very curious about it since we mentioned it.
That's okay. So, yeah, Baxter saves the day.
He does.
Do you not think it's a really like quick resolution? Like he just comes in, he can speak to bears. He's met one of their relatives, and they're like, "Oh, well, we owe you one now. Like, goodbye."
It's just a wacky end to a wacky film, man.
It's just a very quick resolution, isn't it?
Yeah, aye. What is he just like? Oh, I met your cousin in the wild. Code, I can't remember his name. What his name was. Like, I mean, we became friends, and it's like, okay, cool. You're one of us now. You'll always be a friend to the bear tribe.
It's a ridiculous ending. So they escape there, and then Ron is basically getting the opportunity to report on the birth of the panda, and I'm glad that had a resolution because it came up so many times that if it hadn't went anywhere, it would have seemed a bit pointless. But they were obviously foreshadowing it, setting up for the end of the film. But there's a nice moment where Ron can take all the adulation himself, but he decides that he wants to. He decides that he says he wants to give Veronica, his co-anchor, the opportunity to also take part, which is a nice moment, and I think it shows what we're talking about just in terms of his character growth.
Yeah. So it goes from arsehole to hobo to good guy again.
Do you think any of the other characters had? They didn't really, did they? Champ, Brick, and Brian didn't really have any arc, so to speak, did they?
I wouldn't have. Just that they're rotten to Veronica at the start, and then they warm up to her, and then they show bravery by going in to save her and Ron, backing up their news team. So maybe because it's like obviously they're like, "Oh, we can't speak to you," and then they go and give him a hand. So I would say they've got a wee redemption as well, but they're side characters. I mean, it doesn't really need a big arc to really make the film.
I was trying to find it online, but I can't find it. But it talks about what happens to the character. Like quite a lot of movies do that, but it's like it tells you what happens to the characters in the future.
I think Brick was identified with having an IQ of about 48.
No, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't just that though. He was like became like one of the main advisors to the Bush like presidential regime.
Really surprised you with it.
It says it at the end of the film, and Will and not will fail. Ron and Veronica become like the network anchors.
Oh, I never seen that.
It's maybe it's like
Did I miss the end? I might have missed the
credit
end.
sort of thing, but it's like
Yeah.
they're like, you stay classy, planet Earth. There's that bit
Oh yeah.
at the
God,
end.
how did I forget that?
Brian, I think Champ becomes like a kind of more of a. Is it like the NFL reporter or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Brian, what does Brian do?
I can't
Brian
remember.
does something. I can't remember. Probably
Works at
something.
the perfume shop.
Possibly. He has a wee moment at the end. He meets a girl who I've seen in other films before, actually, who identifies as his aftershave and likes it.
Oh,
So he gets a wee bit of love at the end of the film.
I think I must have turned off after Baxter saved today.
Yeah, there is a wee bit there. I honestly can't remember anything that happens in Anchorman 2, if I'm honest. Apart from that,
the RV bit in the crash. That's
yeah, and there was a bit not long after that, but I hated it. I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in a sequel. A close second is Nope, which I was looking forward to so much after Get Out and Us, and I hated it.
I've not seen Nope yet.
Oh, don't watch it. It's not worth it.
Oh, did you like Starship Troopers?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't watch Starship Troopers 2 or 3 or 4.
I'll keep that in mind. Right, so that's the review. Oh, one last thing before we forget. I think we promised some of our followers when we do a little rendition of Afternoon Delight.
You did.
Okay, cue me in then.
One, 2, 3, go.
Oh, stage fright.
Fuck.
Rubbing sticks and stone together makes it fun tonight, and the thought of loving you is getting so exciting. Sky rockets in flight. Woo! Afternoon delight. Afternoon delight.
Amazing.
I can do more if you want.
Yeah, keep going. Fill your bits, mate.
How does it start again?
Fuck if I know.
No, I'll leave it at that. I think it was good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I would have sung, but I don't want to set my dog off because he's actually finding a way to sleep.
Can't remember last. I'm proud of that bit though. That was good. Right, so I'm going to share some comments from the Seismic supporters, and then I'm going to read them like Ron just off the teleprompter, and then we will see what our Seismic scores are. So the first comment comes from our friends it comes from Beans, who's obviously part of Beans, Gaz, and Dave and Andy.
Oh yeah.
So he said, I love Anchorman. I still laugh as hard at it as the day I first saw it. All the best characters in the films are almost caricatures of themselves. The writing is epic. That's why it's so quotable. And Will Ferrell takes the dumb humour to the next level. And he also says, I grew up watching Tony Wilson on Granada Sports, who spent his spare time founding Factory Records and signing bands like the Happy Mondays, so the characters are almost believable. Absolute gem of a film. Second one was a bit of a swing and a miss. I didn't see any of the swings, if I'm honest. Stay classy was the comment there. So thank you for the comment. Make sure to check them out.
Yeah, that's Talk About Radio.
That's the one. Yeah, I remember you guessing by them at one point.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Oh, when was that? That's been about 2 years ago now. Seismic
Sequels.
That was a good one.
VHS Abyss Chris just said the scene where Ron sings Afternoon Delight, and I replied to that saying there may or may not be I said song along, I meant sing along version on the pod. So yeah, hopefully didn't disappoint there. Dissect That Film, who we've collabed with before. It's one of his favourite comedies of all time, highly quotable, hilarious performances, and setting it during the 70s made it perfect for the comedy itself. I think it needs a rewatch. I think it does indeed. Doom Generation podcast, definitely still quote it all the time. Haven't watched it in a few years, but it was still funny last I checked. Well, it was still funny the last time that we checked. Our very own James said, Baxter is the same breed as my wee dog. The best wee dogs about. Well, Jack Black didn't think so.
Nope. Jack Black punted that like a wee NFL ball over the bridge.
I hit him with a burrito. And he kicked him with his foot. Mark Lester said, my first date movie. So I asked, how did that go? How did that go down?
And how did it go down?
I don't know. I didn't get a reply. And then
Hunt the
McGuffin, who I've got a film on YouTube you should all check out, said, Sabes que no hablo inglés. And then the translation was, in Spanish, por favor. And I replied, you know I don't speak Spanish. A couple more. Project Football Podcast. Top film. Ron Burgundy is up there with White Goodman for leading male roles in the mid-2000 comedies. That's Dodgeball, which we did with Mark.
You did, yes. Yeah. I wasn't on that one, but you did it.
Unsung hero of not just this film, but the sequel as well as Brick Tamlin. I disagree, Mark, on the sequel. Not a fan. Still use, well, that escalated quickly today. And then he said skyrockets in flight. So I hope you enjoyed the song as well.
Yes.
How could I forget I love Lamp? So he's a fan of that quote as well.
He's a good boy, that Mark. We need a recording from him as well. He's doing a wee segment again for the positions and stuff on his podcast. So we need a wee recording for him.
All right. What else do we have? The Scottish Football Forum podcast shared our post, as did many other people, so thank you, but they quoted it as well. And they said, get involved below with an absolute comedy classic. So they obviously like that film as well. And that was it in terms of the comments, Paul, unless I missed any other ones.
Yeah, it's quite good engagement for that. It's obviously, Anchorman still held in quite good regard. Somehow Anchorman 2 came out quite favourable in a couple of these as well, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, I am actually kind of tempted to rewatch it just years later and see if it's just as bad as I remember. I reckon it probably is.
Yeah,
I don't think perception can change that much.
Yeah, I think if you hate a film, you're not going to really go back and love it, if you know what I mean.
I know. Right, so anyway, our seismic scores. So we like to give a score out of 10. And it's not comparing this to every other film. It's just looking at Anchorman as its own individual movie. I'm going to do a wee bit of thinking time here, so I'm just going to give myself... It's a hard one to rank. Do you not think?
It is. I think it's hard to rank because...
There's a lot of nostalgia there, isn't there?
There is a lot of nostalgia, and I think if you ranked it like back when we first watched it, I think it'd be completely different to what you'd rank it now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think I know what I want to go for.
Right, okay.
2-1 and then we'll say our scores.
What, sorry?
3-2-1 and then we'll say our scores.
Right, okay.
3, 2, 1, 8.
3. What? Oh, is it a 10? Shit.
Out of 10, yeah.
I thought it was a 5. Oh, that's...
It's always been 10.
I've not been on for ages, man. It's a break.
I can't excuse
I don't know why I thought it was 5.
Let's do it again. 3, 2, 1, 8.
7.
It's funny because 7 was where I was, but the fact so many of the lines have stood the test of time and are still so quotable and funny today. Like, there's maybe some lines that don't land as well. Some of the scenes were a bit harder to watch, as discussed earlier, just when they're kind of pursuing Veronica, and the ending is a bit quick with the Baxter savior, but I'm quite happy with 8 because I don't think it's like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of a movie, but I think in its genre as a comedy classic, I think there's a lot to enjoy there.
Yeah, I think, see, if you'd asked me like when I first watched it when we were like, was it 14, 15 years old, like I'd probably said like 9.5, something like that, because it was just so funny. And then like I watched it today and I was expecting like to be like just the same. Like, I didn't find myself like laughing at like all the bits I thought, but I don't know, I just didn't.
I think that's just over. I think that's just maybe kind of over familiarity with it.
Maybe, but it's still films I watch where I'm like, like or watch TV series and that, like, and I'll still laugh at like certain bits and stuff just because I think it's hilarious. But some bits I didn't get the same kind of feeling that I did years ago with this.
There were some bits I would agree with you on, but there were some bits, like some of the ones I'd written down, like
like
the funny tractor and Brick killed a guy and all these kind of ones. Like there's a lot of good ones in there.
no, it's still good though. It's not a terrible film whatsoever. Like I still really enjoy it. I was quite surprised that it feels like I always thought it felt longer than an hour and a half film. It goes by pretty quick. There's not really.
I think modern films are more regularly 2 hours or more now, aren't they? So I think the kind of classic 1 hour 30 films they do feel quite quick.
Yeah, and I was saying to you earlier, like I watched the standard edition on Prime. It's like an hour and 34 minutes. No, an hour and 36 minutes. And then right beside it's the extended edition. It's an hour and 34 minutes, so it's like 2 minutes shorter. I don't know how that works.
I think it runs well though. I don't think it ever lags. I think it runs quite smoothly. There's always there's always kind of interesting things going on.
Yeah, it's always like one hit to the next. Kind of complain about that.
He's a great character as well. Like maybe they're not very deep and complex, but like Brian Fantana, Brick Tamland, like Veronica Corningstone, Will Ferrell. Like there's a lot of great characters.
I even like the station manager. I think he's quite funny.
Yeah.
So I watched Everybody Loves Raymond quite a lot.
Problems with his son.
Yeah, I watched Everybody Loves Raymond quite a lot. And he's a kind of character that comes in the later seasons, and he's like a religious father of one of the characters, and he's pretty funny in that, doing that kind of character. And he's just got quite a dry kind of sense of humor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned some of the scenes are harder to watch, but as you say, maybe a bit tongue in cheek, but I think it was kind of representative of what the industry was like at that time and how much it's changed today. And obviously, they were just portraying that.
Aye. Also, it wasn't exactly like they were also just going over the top as well to a comedic effect.
There would have been a lot. There obviously you see it in the news all the time. There obviously was a lot of things like that going on in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, well, I didn't really go too deep on this film, to be honest, and that kind of stuff. It didn't really bother me. Like, obviously, there's some bits where it's kind of like a little bit cringy, but it's just about it's still for what it was. It's a comedy movie. It's no daft. It's just I mean, it is daft. It's just
But obviously, you see some of the outtakes. Like Christina Applegate was having a great time filming it, like laughing her head off and stuff. So like, they're all kind of enjoying it. It seemed like I think there was a lot of ad-libbing in the film as well.
Yeah, I think I've seen like clips of Anchorman 2 with ad-libbed, and that looks quite funny. But I don't know if that's an actual movie because I've never watched the whole thing the whole way through.
I think we've given Anchorman 2 far too much airtime. Right, so 7 and 8, so pretty close overall. Just to round out, so you can find Seismic Cinema. Hopefully you enjoyed the review of Anchorman, or the quote off is more accurate. You can find us on all these social media platforms, so please consider following us or liking us or sharing us if you could be so kind. You can also watch our lovely mugs on YouTube and Spotify and listen to us on various other platforms. As mentioned earlier, we're close to 175 subscribers on YouTube, so please consider hitting the button. It costs nothing, and it might one day lead us towards a wee bit of revenue. Mm-hmm. And just make sure you check out the members of the Podpack Collective. There's no rivalries here, like between the news teams. We're all just a big group of friends.
And if you go on eBay, you might find a very barky Dalmatian up for sale. So check that out as well.
Just before we exit, just to mention what the options are for next week's podcast. That'd be great. Let's see if it gets 300 views, then Paul has to come on again the following week. Paul's been invited to my kitchen to save him fighting with his dogs over the recording. So it's James's pick this week. James isn't on this week, but he's picked The Departed. And he's put in brackets 2006. So I'm assuming, does that mean there's more than one version, or is different films with a similar name?
I think it's a remake.
Right. Okay. I think I might have seen that actually. Is that a Leo film?
Yes, and Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg and that.
I think I've seen that actually. The Usual Suspects. I've not seen that. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen The Usual Suspects, and I've not seen The Departed, but I know what happens in The Departed.
Right. So you watched it in the wrong order.
Yeah, I've seen the end. I've not seen the start.
And Ghostbusters, which I actually watched quite recently. I think I watched it during the Christmas holidays because it's on Now TV. So I'm assuming he means the original Ghostbusters. So
May
these
need to get the old brother on for that. He loves
Aye.
Ghostbusters.
DK, he did enjoyed. Does he like Jurassic Park as well? Or about that?
He likes Jurassic Park, Home Alone and that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, aye. Check out our episode, our review of Home Alone. Yeah, so those three are going to be up against each other on social media. So please vote and help decide what next week's review will be. I'm selfishly hoping it's Ghostbusters since I watched that quite recently. And yeah, so that's the ones for next week. So that is us. So yeah, I'm Colin. I've not seen it, although sometimes I have, but that's a secret. Paul?
I've usually watched stuff in the wrong order because I'm a bit of a diddy, like Rick.
Yep, and James is off writing a big angry letter on a teleprompter about this movie, which we'll bring you next week. So you stay classy, podcast community.
Yeah. And we are Seismic Cinema.